Shalom, and welcome back to Bnei Noach Academy, Thoughts on Life. Please remember to hit the like button, to subscribe, and most importantly, to share this insight and inspiration with friends and family. So in continuation of our series on Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, the anniversary of the destruction of the first and second temple. So I want to bring an interesting midrash. And this is on the verse in Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 11. Where it says, Kila Hashem et chamatho, that the Lord vented his fury and he poured out his inflamed wrath. He ignited a fire in Zion and it consumed her foundations. So the Midrash tells us a very interesting thing. There is a psalm. If you look in chapter 79, verse 1, it says a psalm, Mizmor le'Asaf, a psalm by Asaph. And he begins with the words, God, people have invaded your inheritance, and he describes the destruction of the temple. So the Midrash tells us that the sages, the wise men, approached Asaph and said, a song for Asaph? This should be a cry for Asaph. You are talking about the destruction of the temple. You are talking about the overturning of this beautiful home, and they use the description of, imagine a king who makes a wedding home for his son. It was customary in those days to make a special home for the son. We would have the celebration, then they would move in there. And imagine after completing the construction of it, in the middle of the wedding, he just turns it all over and destroys the entire thing. This is not a reason for celebration. This is not a reason for singing. This is a reason for crying, for mourning. What are you singing about? So he says to them, that's precisely the reason why I sing. Because he says, God did destroy his holy abode. God did destroy this fantastic edifice. True. But think about it. God destroyed this instead of destroying the people of Israel. He, quote, let out his anger, he let out his wrath on the stone, on the wood, on the structure, on the building material. Kila Hashem et chamato al eitzim v'al avanim. God let out all his anger, all his wrath on the physical things. But Israel is still here, not destroyed. With all the pain and suffering that they went through, the promise of God is still here and will always be here, that the children of Israel will always be. They cannot exist without the world, but certainly the world cannot exist without them. So this is a great thing. As we commemorate this terrible day, we have to also remember the goodness and the kindness of God. For whatever reason, it was warranted at the time. And perhaps until the Holy Temple is rebuilt, it seems to be warranted on some level that the Bet HaMikdash, that the Holy Temple should be in a destructive state. But think about the beauty, think about the kindness, think about the grace of God, that even so, even though this had to happen, and obviously there was a great wrath of God, but that was let out on the physical objects that can always be restored, that can always be rebuilt, but not on the people and not taking away their eternity. Think about this, how this applies to our lives. Sometimes, and of course, I don't wish it on anyone, I don't wish it on myself, but sometimes we experience hardship, we experience loss, we experience breakage of things, and in the moment it seems so overwhelming and it seems so terrible, and many times we ask, why is this happening, why to me? But little do we know sometimes that can actually be a favor that's playing out for us. Perhaps, who knows, maybe that's coming into place and circumventing something which could have been far worse. And therefore, we need to trust in God and accept even those difficult things, even those bad things, or seemingly bad things that happen to us. We have to accept it with joy and thank God that it's only that and not something